Lisa Raehsler is a PPC strategist and digital marketing thought leader with over 2 decades of experience. She's a founder of Big Click Co., where she's helped hundreds of companies achieve their brand and growth goals through cutting-edge ad strategies, something certainly very close to my heart, getting this stuff right. She's been named as a top 25 most influential PPC expert and is a Microsoft MVP award winner. So this is somebody who knows a thing or two about the topic that we are going to be discussing today, which is, well, we could call it AI advertising. We could call it next-gen advertising, but we're talking about actually getting in front of the right customers. Lisa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Neil, for having me. I'm really excited.
Great to have somebody who's such a specialist in a really nuanced area to talk to, because before we started recording this, Lisa, I mean, you and I were just talking a little bit, and I was saying, as a generalist marketer, I know quite a lot about lots of different things, but I don't know the fine detail about things that are, I guess, really, really crucial to getting the whole mix correct. So how did you find yourself in a really kind of specialist area of marketing like advertising?
You know, when I started out, I was a generalist, and this was a very long time ago. And I worked on website content, marketing, communications, multimedia presentations. And when I started to get into, when I first discovered Google Ads, when I started to get into it, I thought, this is so challenging. I don't get it. I'm very confused. I must do it. I must learn more. And then as I dug into it more and more, the layers just kept peeling away the layers, and really became an expert in it by focusing on it. And at the time, there weren't as many people doing it. And so I was a little more sought after for my skills in that. And I just went from there. I just decided this is where I want to take my marketing and focus. And I've been writing about pay-per-click and speaking at conferences for many, many years. It gets me fired up.
It's great. And I just love that mindset of, I had to go deeper. I had to explore this. And, I think a lot of people either kind of make excuses where they haven't got the time to do it, or they kind of put other things as priorities there. But the value you can get about doing that deep dive into something and then really becoming a specialist in it, ultimately, obviously like you, Lisa, to become an expert in it when you go so deep that there's almost nowhere that's untouched. And it's kind of, a lot of this is uncharted territory, isn't it? What kind of drives you? What kind of keeps you sort of thirsty or hungry for that kind of that knowledge? Because it is almost a never-ending journey, isn't it?
That's part of the reason, because it is a never-ending journey. And because you have this technical and this creative side, highly technical, highly creative, and melding those two things together is just amazing. You need to know how things technically work, how search engines work, how browsers work, how tracking works. I'm sure from what you do, you have to have your hands in a lot of different types of tools and understand how they work for the ads to serve and get the best results for them. So that's what keeps me always intrigued. And there's so many changes always happening, new stuff to explore. I'm even surprised sometimes.
It is fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, because the more you look, then you realize what you don't know. It doesn't actually necessarily solve the challenges or really help with the understanding. You just uncover, oh my word, there's so much more in here. Look, as you say, with the algorithms, which are constantly changing, I think most of us know that. But it's kind of, you open up this little Pandora's box, and inside they'll be like, oh my word, I didn't even know these were questions I could ask. So it is almost, the thing becomes cumulatively bigger and bigger every step and every kind of moment that you take, which I guess you sound like you're the kind of person who really embraces change, really loves that today is different to yesterday, is going to be different again tomorrow. Is that the kind of mindset really that you find works well?
Oh, definitely. The only guarantee is that everything will change. Like you just said, the Buddhist concept of impermanence, that nothing will ever stay the same. So I think that's that's great. That's amazing. Technology is always changing, and it really has to. And these ads are served with technology. So you need to understand how the ads are targeted, what is triggering them, and how they process all of this data. So for example, we're really moving away from the just having keywords in the account and bidding on keywords. And then there's this old school, it's becoming old school now, right? Where you're doing a search and your ad pops up. But what we're looking at is more AI summaries, this experimentation with the ads in those AI summaries and in AI results. And they've expanded things with the search engines from this keyword trigger to millions of signals, which are looking at not only what keyword someone is typing in, but their search behavior, where they're located, what they've looked at before, their behavior on your website. And there are so many things that they're looking at to make sure that we target the right people.
Now, I'm sure there's one or two, might not be, well, actually, it's probably more than one or two. It's probably most people actually hearing that, Lisa, are thinking, whoa, hold on a minute. I thought when you guys were talking about advertising and pay-per-click and stuff, you were going to tell me, here's how I should produce a boosted post so that, when I'm on Facebook or somewhere else in Meta or whatever, suddenly there's an opportunity to, for $10, I can boost this post. Wow, my business is going to be completely changed. Are you telling us then, Lisa, that is not what we're talking about? Because I get a sense this is something way, way deeper in terms of the way that the platforms are kind of using their data and their holdings of that information, and actually how we as marketers or business owners should be thinking about this, because it feels like we've got to get under the hood of what our customer motivations are and actually who our customers are before even worrying about should we be posting an ad. Is it going to really emphasize customer first?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is customer first. So not only are we able to target in every platform on a wide variety of criteria. I mean, it's endless, right? So what their demographics are, where they're located, what their interests are. There are so many different categories of interests, from someone who likes boating, fishing, versus kayaking, versus yachting. It's something that you probably never thought about, but we can target those 3 different groups of water lovers, and based on the device that they're on at the time, and what their other interests are, and their demographics, their income, and their gender. So we have all unlimited amount of ways that we can target. And with AI and these dynamically created ads that we have access to now, and this is specifically, I know the most about Google ads and Microsoft ads. With these dynamically generated ad creatives, the platforms can cater the ads to the individuals based on the advertisers like default copy, what's on their landing page, and a few other signals. So the platforms are dynamically creating these ads very much targeted to you and to me. So
Yes, it feels like then I'm just sort of seeing this, from let's just say I'm a marketer, which I am, but let's just pretend I'm a marketer in the audience listening to you, Lisa. And then it feels like what you're saying to kind of get off the starting blocks here is not to worry about whether you've got an event to get, people buying tickets to, or whether you've got a product or service that you want to sell, but actually to stop for a minute and say, okay, let's see, because I'm really fascinated by this one. Let's see if we can identify who are target audiences that we could add value to. Let's almost forget about ourselves for a moment. Let's forget about what we're trying to promote, because when we think advertising, we often think, I've got this thing to promote or sell, I'm going to advertise it. But that feels, from the way you're describing it, it's the wrong way round. It's almost like that becomes the solution that comes in at the last minute. But to get off the blocks, we need to understand what kind of individuals and who they are, their demographics, their psychographics, their lifestyle, their location. It feels like that is a much more important starting point than worrying about what we are trying to promote. Have I got that right?
Oh, you mean in the messaging of the ad, focusing
Well,
on right.
well, in terms of even before even sort
Mhm.
of further upstream than that, is actually when we think we've got some budget here, we're going to actually promote something, but instead of starting off with, okay, here's what I'm promoting, we actually start off with, no, who am I actually talking to? Who am I going to target?
Yes, I hear what you're saying. That's a very interesting point, because I've had people over the years, clients, advertisers, and the first thing they'll think of is, here's the keyword list I want to use, and here is the ad I want to use. And that doesn't help very much. I mean, it helps a little bit, but what you need to think about is, who do I want to reach? Who are my who is my buyer? And what problem am I solving for them, for the messaging? Less about what exactly am I saying right now, and how can I reach them? So the example of selling the boats. Where are these people that are buying boats? Where are they hanging out online? Are they on more visual platforms like Pinterest, or are they are they higher income professionals that are likely to be on Microsoft products and be searching on Bing? And that's a pretty big spread there. So knowing where you might find them, and then when you get into the platforms, we'll need some directional type of information about who these people are, like I just said, these demographics, what other things they might be interested in, to really develop a profile, to plug it in there. And then now we have the AI that can help guide us and drive us even deeper, because obviously we don't have access to the million signals. Another really interesting thing that is becoming more popular right now is the customer match feature. Are you familiar with that?
No, tell me more.
It's really interesting. So the customer match feature, they have this in Google Ads, Microsoft, and LinkedIn for sure. So what the advertiser does is they basically upload their customer list to the platform, and the platform matches the customers with similar audiences. It's something they used to call several years ago the similar audiences. And now what they're doing is they're taking that and they're just like really going crazy with this and really digging deeper into it to find all these different and different audiences, where you're able to reach only new customers or the current customers if you want to upsell or cross sell them. There's so many opportunities with that. And that was a feature that we've had for a long time, and I don't know, it doesn't go too far. But they're really driving it home right now, especially with the privacy issues and the first party data thing. So Yeah.
Yeah, that first party data thing is just a real wake up call, I think, for so many of us that have kind of relied on these sorts of platforms and, all their clever stuff and thought, oh, we don't need to own any data. We don't need to worry too much. We'll pay lip service to our kind of definitions of our target customers. And then we'll let the platforms like Meta or LinkedIn or Google or whoever figure it out. They can kind of do the hard yards and we'll just bask in the glory of great returns on our ad spend. Whereas now the real responsibility comes back on the marketer or the business owner to hold reliable, solid data about their customers. And almost that becomes what you're trading in. It's actually not trading products and services anymore. It's actually trading with the quality and the security of the data that you've got. I mean, for me, this is just amazing because then it puts quality over quantity every time. Are you seeing that kind of coming through with your customers? Are you seeing people now really taking data seriously, more so maybe than they used to?
Right, because when you have your customer list, you have their name, address, phone number, all that basic information. But once you uploaded it and you match it, and your first party data is combined with all of the signals of the platforms, you've got a gold mine, because then you can build more of a persona, understand their behavior patterns, depending on the platform you're looking in, or if you're looking in GA4, there's so many different options, but they'll give you reports on the demographics of this list, how they're responding to your ads, what their interests are. I mean, it's just amazing.
So it requires, I guess, then a lot more thought than maybe we've been giving to advertising more generally, rather than just saying we need to get these things sold, or we need to get customer eyeballs onto our website for a particular reason. It's much more now about the little nuanced details about, okay, exactly who is it? Why are we getting them there? What journey are we going to choreograph having got them there? There's a lot more thought goes into this now. Are you kind of an advocate for that? Or is it something that, a business owner can just literally throw money at?
I think there's a lot more thought into some parts of it. If you want to, what I'm trying to say. They have performance max campaigns where you put in less information and it's all automated. So Google and Microsoft are serving ads in across channels, across email, in searches, and on different websites in the form of banner ads. So that requires less work on the part of the advertiser. But if you're doing, say, a more complicated retargeting type of program, you're going to need to have more advanced knowledge on how to use that customer match list, what strategies you want to use to target them. If you want to do some sort of sequencing. So that is a lot more in depth and takes a lot more strategy. So you can go either way. You can just throw money at it, but I wouldn't want you to waste your money. So I think if an advertiser isn't familiar with it, I think they minimally should meet with somebody who can walk them through these different options and what's best for them, because it really does vary on the budget, what their product is, where they're located. You get it's real. There's so many variables.
So I want to come on to a little bit more detail about the AI thing in just a moment, just see kind of where these two letters really fit within this, because, I think for a lot of us, we're seeing AI sort of pop up here, there, and everywhere, from automation to content creation to whatever it is. But I do want to go into the whole personalization thing and see how that comes out for you at the moment in advertising. But I'm just curious as to a little bit of an old school, I guess you could call it, approach to advertising, which was very much about you start very, very small. You maybe do some split testing on a couple of kind of ad creatives, and you begin very, very small, very, very low budget until you find something that works, and then you scale that and you don't do the other stuff that doesn't work. Does that philosophy still hold true these days? I'm just curious to know whether with AI, we don't need to worry, we can hit it right first time, or whether some of those old principles of testing small, almost like as a pilot, and then scaling up those things we still need to do.
That's very interesting that you brought that up. So you're right. You used to be able to do that, but it's less likely to work now, because in order for Google to serve your ads using some of those smart bidding techniques, which would be the return on ad spend or conversion value, they need to have data so that they can develop a profile of who is likely to convert. So if you start out with a really small amount, you're not getting enough data fast enough for their machines to understand what will convert the best.
So there's quite a bit of trust required here then, isn't there? If you've got somebody who's a little bit cynical, or maybe skeptical, let's just say skeptical rather than cynical, they might go at this and think, oh, well, I can see what, I won't mention any names, but some of these platforms are trying to do. They've kind of invested in this technology. They're going to make a lot of money out of me initially, so I don't get a chance to test and almost build that confidence that this is going to work. I've got to go all in from the get-go. The cynics amongst us might be thinking, I think there's a big advantage here for the platform rather than the advertiser. What's your take on that one, Lisa?
They need the data in order to be able to hit those revenue goals. It's impossible to, unless they know who is converting. So yes, the advantage does go to companies that have more budget that they can invest and can get that data in faster. If you have a lower budget, it will just take longer to get that data in. So I mean, that's where we're at. So if somebody that has a $500 a month budget, it's not going to go very well, and you might not even want to do Google ads. Or
so
you
there's
might
a harsh reality.
Yeah, or you might want to do, you would have to be very strategic in how I actually do some articles about how to manage the small PPC budget. You might want to look at some completely different strategies because of how I described how it runs. And then even when you do get the data in, so for example, you're bidding for return on ad spend, there's strategies that you can put in place to sort of start out with a lower return and then gradually increase it so that there's a higher return on your ads. So it's not something that is instant. You can instantly drive some traffic in theory, but if you're looking for, sales and leads, it's definitely trickier, and you definitely want to work with somebody who can help navigate that. I don't like it when I see people that waste money, even if if it's a small amount, you can still just waste it by not knowing what you're doing. But once you get it in, but here's the thing, once you have that data and it's working, it will keep working. It's just getting to that point when you first start out.
Is that where AI can then sort of come in to guide us? Obviously, you can commission somebody like you, Lisa, to kind of come in and give that kind of voice of authority. And that is, again, being a thought leader, you're going to know all the latest kind of thinking around how to do this. But if somebody was looking to maybe go this alone and try and sort of dip their toe in the water, would AI just generically be able to help there? Or are we still just saying, no, trust the platforms. This is how it works. You've just got to go all in. And you've just got to trust that because AI is working for you elsewhere and other things like content creation and automation and just research and all those kinds of things, it's going to work here too. Because I think a lot of us are getting a lot of confidence now about this. And I'm still using the term very generically, AI, artificial intelligence here. But if it's being applied within advertising, then surely the logic would say it's going to be as good for that as it is for everything else. So maybe we can be trusting and very hopeful from the get-go.
Well, it's from the get-go is a little tough, but once you get going, the platforms are looking at like I said, all of these signals, how the person is likely to convert, what their behavior is on other sites, what other types of things they've been searching for. So, if they're a good fit, likely to convert, because they have that, and you're giving them the parameters of what is success to you, they're constantly adjusting the targeting and the ad copy, and to get the best results based on the parameters that you put out there. So that's where the AI all comes into place. So you can still do this. The current version and the past version is you put in the keywords, you put in the ad, you put in your targeting, right? Right. Well, what we're going for now is get us some ad copy to start with, give us some keywords to start with, give us some targeting to start with, and let us take it from here with all of our intelligence and our machine learning and our mega computers. And in theory, you should be getting the results that you're telling the platforms you want. Once you get some of that data in, you can tweak it, you can change it, you can exclude things if you need to. So you still do have control over the situation. You do have to have trust. I don't know if it's in the platforms or if it's really your trust in technology.
Yeah, it could be one or the other. It could be both. I mean,
I
think it's interesting. I think the more that, the likes of you and I are talking about this stuff and just making it really kind of public and out there, that look, things have changed. You've got to just wake up to this stuff. You've got to self-educate to know, how this stuff has changed. You might not want to become a specialist like Lisa, but you need to get to a certain point to enable those conversations to be kind of relevant to you and your business. Maybe once you get to that kind of point, you have enough trust or enough faith, should we say, in, okay, I'm going to give this a go now. Do you feel that if somebody is kind of thinking, right, I'm kind of at that point where I think I know that this thing is different to how it used to be, I understand now that there's stuff magic going to happen behind the scenes here. Is it fair to say then that if I have to be a little patient with my expectation, that before maybe I used to be able to get almost an instant return, now I've got to let the systems kind of almost do the learning for what I've got to achieve? You used a phrase just a moment ago, creating traffic. So is it fair to say then at the start it would be a reasonable expectation for the platforms to just generate traffic, and then over time we evolve into, and now they're getting specific, now they're getting targeted, now my ad is really optimized, now I'm getting the right kinds of people. But at the start, I need to almost accept that I'm going to get probably some volume, but there could be a lot of wastage, but at least I've got something moving. Is it almost that we're going to change how we define the various stages of advertising then? Because it sounds like stage one, literally from the minute you say, yeah, I'm committing to this campaign, it's just noise and it's just getting reach. And then maybe stage two is, okay, now it's fine tuning it. And stage three is now I'm absolutely laser focused. Because that would be a different way of kind of positioning advertising within our business, wouldn't it? Would that make sense? Would that actually work?
Right. So as everybody says in my industry, it depends. But what you described is definitely a strategy that advertisers can use. So a lot of times advertisers will just start out getting traffic and saying, I want to pay for clicks. So they can get the volume in and they can start getting the data in. But the only problem is you're not optimizing, like you said, in sort of the phase 2, you're not fine tuning it for, conversions at the cost you want. So you do have to, be patient with that. You mentioned the learning. There is literally a learning time period that Google has for the smart bidding kicking in, the AI bidding kicking in. And usually it's, oh man, it's like 1 to 3 weeks before it's, completely learned what the behavior and what the patterns are. So I think, that's a good way to approach it, is looking for traffic first, gathering data, fine tuning, looking at that data in order to laser focus it. Definitely. And that might help you if you're doing a more holistic and well-rounded approach. You might want to have traffic building campaigns, branding campaigns, where you can get some data from that. And then maybe some that are, product focused, where you're just looking for sales or you're just looking for leads. I usually recommend that clients do both. That's my personal style. And to hit potential customers in every part of the funnel. It's, it's not the traditional funnel anymore, but there are search intent and buyer intent at different phases of the buying cycle. So if that all makes sense, but that's definitely a great plan that you could start out using, but you don't want to do that forever. I mean, you do want to eventually get sales at profit.
Yeah, because to me, this feels like one of the big mindset shifts here is that back in the day, and I'm talking back in the day,
Recently.
a long time, it was about, I place an ad, I get some sales. I mean, that was almost the filler, because if you were doing organic content, which was a bit more of the kind of the long haul flight, so you were thinking it's medium to longer term, the value comes because Google bots will take a bit of time to come around and see my site again, realize, oh, this is quite newsworthy content, oh, this is valuable, and then you start getting rewarded. So that was the long haul, but you didn't feel in the short term with advertising, because you knew that if you boosted that post or you did a quick little burst of a campaign, you would sell those tickets or you would get that product launch off the ground. Feels like that doesn't really apply now, because this whole advertising thing now feels that strategic as well. Is there still a place for somebody who has this kind of urgent short-term need, for almost to a point of desperation? I need to place some ads because I need some business. Doesn't feel like that would work with this whole kind of learning strategic longer term model. I mean, can it still work? Can people still sell from the off?
That's a good question. I think if we knew how to do that, we would have a lot of business, right? If we knew the secret formula for that. I think if you're in the right place on the right time, you could do that, especially if it's a local campaign, So I think it's possible, but you still have to be strategic about it. You can't just target everyone. Someone asked me about, reaching, how it's hard to reach global markets. Well, it's hard if you target the whole globe, but if you target different markets on the globe, you'll have a lot more success. So it's thinking about it that way.
That comes full circle, doesn't it? Right back round to our sort of initial comments about this real focus on the customer, because yeah, global markets, I mean, come on, what on earth is that? I mean, there is no such thing and never was, but still people kind of try and almost chase that dream, don't they? That, oh, I can just put some advertising out there, it'll solve all my problems. And like you say, if we all knew how this stuff worked down to that level of detail, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation, would we, Lisa? I mean, that's the point, isn't it, really?
Right.
It's complicated.
Yes, it is complicated. And I mean, you can also do these sorts of campaigns where you can get traffic, but then it depends, you need to think about, are you getting the qualified traffic? You can get traffic from anywhere. You can get cheap traffic from anywhere, but you do really want to get qualified traffic that maybe you can remarket to later. I mean, that's another tactic that you can use. You can use different platforms and sort of develop strategies where they can sort of ping off of each other. So try to find business audiences on Google and Microsoft, and then maybe target a subset of that on LinkedIn, which is very expensive. So it's really about, it's thinking creatively, and that's, that is where it comes back to what we talked about in the beginning, is there's so many technical things to learn about and be aware of. And those details can really help to be more efficient. It can really take that small budget and make it amazing if you know how it works and how you can do these tactics to work together. But yeah, just being able to do the ads like back in the olden days of just getting sales is not as likely anymore.
So there you go. There's your wake-up call, people. If you've heard this and you think, oh, that's a bit of a downer, I thought it was going to be easy. Well, I can tell you absolutely isn't. So if people want to connect with you, Lisa, I want to make sure that people are connecting with your work and maybe even reaching out to you if they need some assistance here. How best to get hold of you?
I would love for people to reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect there. And I also have a newsletter on Substack called The Paid Media Mix, where I write about different tactics and different digital marketing topics that I think the audience could be interested in. I do a lot of do-it-yourself type of tips. So doing a little studying doesn't hurt.
No, that's brilliant. And I think what you're saying is that people need to take this seriously. I think, if you think the old models and the old ways are going to carry on, they're not. They've clearly already changed, even if you're not aware of it. And what Lisa's advocating here is, you need to upskill. This is important stuff that is a key part of our customers' journey, but also how we're expecting and hoping to be targeting them. Lisa, this has been great. Really enjoyed this, and thank you for asking some of those quite searching questions, or answering, with real clarity there. I think, I've got a few things that I'm going to go away and research now, and I'm definitely signed up for your pages, because they are absolutely fascinating reading. And I think for anybody listening to this, if you are thinking, I might be needing to do some advertising in maybe 6-12 months time, there is no better time to start thinking about this than now, because as you're hearing, if you want results tomorrow and you haven't actually started yet, it's not going to happen. So early is good, isn't it, Lisa?
The planning should take the majority of your time. Like a lot of things in life, invest in the beginning in a solid foundation, and then, good things should come from it.
Wonderful. There's the guidance, everybody. Go figure. Lisa Raehsler, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed speaking with you.